Well, you do know who it is that's doing it, or who is caught, who has the governor's ear, and who's telling them to do this.
Well, I know who issued the order, and that was the finance director who was appointed by the governor. And of course, I have no ill feeling toward Mr. Hardin. He's a general in the National Guard, and it's been said on many occasions that an army is no better than its general. And of course, if this is going to be the way state governments run, if an appointed official is going to run the state, and if the governor is not going to exercise some control over the people he's appointed, then certainly he's going to have to bear the responsibility if there's any responsibility to bear.
Well, Governor, is it a fact that the last time you had problems with expenses here that General Hardin was behind it?
Well, I've never been told this. General Hardin told me that he was not behind it. You know, they took the car away. I'm the only state employee probably that doesn't have an automobile. There was a state trooper traditionally assigned to this office, and I don't need a bodyguard. There's no question about that. But the state trooper was available to the office and had been for several years, and of course this was taken away. And there have been several other personal incidents, such as people being fired because they were close to me, and it's gotten to the point now that I don't think that I can just sit here and say, well, everything's fine and that everything will work out, because it's to the point now that a lot of people are being affected by somebody's actions against this office. And I don't believe that the majority of the people share the feeling that this office should be abolished.
Well, how many people have been fired who were close to you?
Well, of course, Tommy Cooksey was fired, who was in the governor's cabinet, and Wayne McMahon has been fired twice now. Of course, he was fired the first time. He was not on my payroll, but assigned to this office. And he was later made my administrative assistant and was the only man working in the office other than myself, and he was handling a great deal of work. And there are many people throughout the state who know Wayne, who know that he has worked for him.
I had a politician for a father, and I have found that the men just aren't doing things like I think they should be doing. The ballot any way they want to, but to establish a two-party system, we must vote in the Republican primary. Problems that they didn't have. I had to check to see if my lipstick was on and whether I was standing between the light and the...
You have a big orange button on your lapel there. Stamp out pollution in government, vote for Callahan. Does this sum up your platform in a few words?
Yes, that, and I have another, stamp out moral pollution. I brought up 3 children to be, or my husband and I brought up 3 children to be self-respecting, hard-working, tax-paying citizens, and we feel that they have been disenfranchised in the present-day society because virtue is no longer a reward, seemingly.
How do you view the incumbent Senator John Sparkman?
Well, I have known Mr. Sparkman most of my life. He was a friend of my father's, and I think it's time for a change, very definitely.
Do you think there should be an age limit on an individual who serves in Congress?
Yes, I definitely do. I think there should be. I also think that there should be an age limit on Supreme Court justices. As a matter of fact, I would hope that in the future we would put a tenure of office, a length of time, on Supreme Court justices and senators, possibly 12 years at the most for any one candidate.
Well, we've had it more or less easy up until this time. Even though Florida has been a lot of work, we've been concentrating on one state. At the end of the Florida campaign, we're moving into 3 other states at the same time, Maryland, Wisconsin, and Tennessee. This is going to consist of 1 or 2 things. We're going to have to split our effort, or we're going to have to increase our effort as to the number of personnel out in the field. But I feel like in Tennessee and in Wisconsin and Maryland, looking back on the governor's success in those states in 1964 when he ran the primaries, 30-some% of the vote in Wisconsin, 43% of the vote in Maryland, and this was in a 2-man race. We now have 10 to 13 candidates in these races, and I think we have prospects of being most successful in those states. It will call for an increased effort on our part as soon as we get out of Florida in the Democratic primary. But let me say this, the governor is 100% sincere about getting the Democratic nomination in July in Miami. And we're going at this thing all the way, and we think we can be successful. Mathematically, it looks good.
Despite that 100% sincerity, and I don't want to sound like I'm questioning you or the governor, you are still keeping
saying this, and we sincerely mean it. We don't know how we're going to be treated in Miami in July. As the governor said the other day, they may pitch him through the roof. But we're not exerting any effort on our part far as third-party activity is concerned. All of it is directed toward the Democratic primary. Now, hopefully the third-party people will see fit to continue their activities and have a party that would be attractive to a national candidate.
Well, I think that we need a lot of things out of Washington, just like I feel like we need a lot of things here out of Montgomery. And when the seat became vacant by the unfortunate death of late Congressman Anders, people began to call me, and this began to, you might say, caused me to think about it and my desire to help people, because the United States free enterprise system has been wonderfully good to me, and so I would very much like to help those who need help, who are much less fortunate, say, than I am. So I think, to answer your question simply, just the desire to help other people is the prime motivation factor.
In effect, a Board of Visitors becomes an extended faculty, a faculty of men of outstanding reputation, men it would be impossible for us to employ as professors. Men such as Tyne Davis of Montgomery, Dr. Rex Morthland of Selma, Mr. Lem Coley of Alexander City will be working with us, and together with faculty, students, and administration alike, we will work together to make this a simply outstanding school.
Yeah, I think it's a rather serious problem that confront us as Americans. I think that unless we can democratize the educational enterprise to the degree that we can include all segments of the population in the decision-making process, that we aren't going to move education and freedom forward in this state. I think in the Deep South we have had tremendous displacement of black educators, and I think that it is not in the interest of education, nor is it going to redound to the benefit of Alabama and Louisiana in this nation. I think that we have lost talent. I think we have lost resources, and we have moved steadily toward a completely white-dominated hierarchy in terms of the educational enterprise. And I think it's unfortunate that this has happened. I hope that we can move forward in terms of trying to get more decisions like the one we had in Muscle Shoals, Alabama, not so long ago, that restored a black man to his rightful position as a leader in the educational system of his county. Well, I think it was an unfortunate step. I think it was a backward step. Secondly, I don't believe it to be constitutional. I think that busing is one of the ways that we can achieve a unitary school system. I think that the ultimate goal has to be complete freedom and complete involvement of all children and all educational personnel. And what I'm suggesting is that we've got to have a completely integrated educational system. And I see busing as a means to achieve this. And I think that the decision yesterday was certainly a step backward, and it's going to hurt the whole cause of educational freedom and the democratization of school systems in this country.
Well, we're extremely pleased at this time with Florida. We certainly, as I stated before, we like the football player. We'd rather talk about it the 15th. However, the polls indicate that we're running ahead in Florida. This has been recognized by even the other candidates down there. We think that the vote that we've got at the present time is a hardcore vote that will stick with the governor. We don't see anything that would cause us to lose any portion of that vote. And at the present time, I feel like there's another 3 to 5% down there that we can pick up just simply by exposing the governor and his philosophy.
I don't really believe that you get quality education just because you have racial balance. I happen to believe you can have good quality education, and that's what we really want in an all-black or an all-white school. And I would rather concentrate on achieving quality education than having some mathematical formula to achieve racial balance. I don't know any child, to my knowledge, that's ever learned very much, ever gotten a better education when he's forced to bus in or out of a major metropolitan area. I think a better approach is to have better facilities, more teachers per pupil, better equipment. This is what we ought to concentrate on rather than having a mathematical formula, whether it's in the North or the South. And I felt that a long time. I feel that today.
If I were given a pencil and said, and were given the authority to just draw my district that I would like, knowing I had to lose and had to gain some, I don't think I could have drawn a district that I would have preferred to what I've got. I'm very pleased with it. I think I can see no major issues facing us that we haven't faced before. The only thing new is that in 7 counties now, they'll have a Republican running that they haven't had running before. But that's no big thing in Alabama anymore, party label. I think they look to see what the man can do and has done. I'm willing to stand on my record. I'm willing to, particularly, I'm in a position to do more than I would have if I were on another committee. Fort Rucker, for instance, 30,000 odd people work in and about Fort Rucker. I'm on the Armed Services Committee, so we have an overflow from Craig in Selma. We have Maxwell Field in Montgomery. We have Gunter Field in Montgomery. We have Fort Rucker in the 2nd District. So with my 8-year seniority now, I couldn't be in a better position to serve my constituents, and I'm very pleased with it.
George, cystic fibrosis is a health problem that affects about 1 out of every 2,000 newborn infants in the United States. It's a disorder that causes problems in 3 areas of their bodies. 1, it causes the children to have difficulty with their respiratory tract, presumably by the plugging of small airways with thick mucus. Secondly, their digestive system is involved in most instances, perhaps 85% of the time. And thirdly, in virtually all of the children, we now know that there is an abnormal secretion of salt in their perspiration, so that their sweat glands are also involved.
Can you tell me what steps are to be taken in the field of research to combat this?
This is a very important question because research in any health problem obviously must go on before a cure can be found. In cystic fibrosis, research over the years, up until the last 5 or 6 years, has been primarily directed at trying to find the best means of keeping the children healthy, while the other form of research, the research on the basic defect in cystic fibrosis, is getting going. Here in the past 5 years, the research on the basic defect has been greatly productive. We have found many, many pieces to the overall puzzle that cystic fibrosis seems to be. We hope that finding these directions, these pieces of the puzzle, is going to eventually lead to a cure for this disorder.
Senators Javits, Mondale, Scott, and other South haters are lining up against any effort to do away with forced busing of school children. You can always tell in the Senate when the ultra-liberal South haters have run out of arguments. They dust off the bloody flag of the war between the states and wave it instead of using sound arguments. Now, a good indication of the fate in store for a constitutional amendment will come right away when the Senate acts on anti-busing amendments to the higher education bill. Amendments to bills, and I have some to offer, require only a majority vote, whereas a constitutional amendment requires a 2/3 vote. Now, I believe we should use the hundreds of millions of dollars required for forced mass busing to upgrade our schools and provide a good education for all of our children, wherever they may live.
Tough and stand up and make a move back to Alabama.
Does this mean that Mineral Wells, Texas would not inherit the Fort Rucker, Alabama situation?
We want to prevent that from happening.
You're lashing.
I think 3 terms or so in the Senate is enough. I've been in the state $1 billion to spend, as some candidates do on this campaign. So I'll be working hard to get to you through personal appearances and through the news media. Women's rights, the ecology, water pollution, and the...
With all of the propaganda of the last 10 years...
My position is this. The federal government has increased its numbers of jobs. Personally, I'm for cutting down on federal spending. But if they're going to be spending money and employing federal employees around the United States, particularly in Mississippi, Georgia, Tennessee, and Florida, then we certainly should have our fair share of it, because this does mean an input of $280 million a year in payrolls into the economy of this state. In a 4-year period, it would equal the state budget of Alabama, which is $1 billion a year. That's a lot to lose. And I personally am opposed to the seniority system. And let me tell you the fallacy of the seniority system. The senator has made this a big issue. He says, we all talk about seniority and jobs and so forth, but everybody knows that's not true. The president of the bank is rarely the man who's been there the longest. The president of the insurance company is hardly the agent who's had the longest tenure with the company. The senior partner in a law firm is not necessarily by any means the one who's been there the longest, nor are the generals chosen from among the Army people who have been in the service the longest. You combine experience and seniority with ability to perform, with past record, and with production. Do you think that the convention? I'm confident. And he'll have an impact on the Democratic. And to use seniority in the future for the state, not for any particular group, reform. I think that we ought to get the state. The question is which amendment. There are a whole series. Oh yeah, my mother's hiding over. We South Alabamians want to like to tie in with the North as much as we can. I don't think they will. It's in Syria right now, that and Medicaid.
Just how effective Eddington and other Democratic hopefuls will be in the campaign against the seniority system and Senator John Sparkman still remains the big question in this campaign year. This is John Moore, WSFA TV News in Mobile.
Right.
As you know, the federal contribution for the expansion and improvement of Moulton Field is being made under the new Airways and Airport Assistance Act of 1970, which President Nixon signed in May of that year. When this administration came to Washington, we set to work immediately to bring some balance to the transportation system of this nation. I don't have to tell you that while the highway program was in pretty good shape, we had a tremendous catch-up job to do in public transportation, in safety, in aviation, and overall in long-range planning. And just what is the act that provided the funds for this project? In a nutshell, for the first time in the history of our nation, there is now a long-range program, 10 years and $10 billion worth, to expand and improve our present airports and to build new ones as well. Today, because of the action of the President and the Congress, on a bipartisan basis, I might add, we have a planned program, a trust fund, similar to the Highway Trust Fund, which guarantees that this nation will have the capacity to meet the aviation needs in the years ahead. We know that as transportation grows and prospers, the nation will share in that growth and prosperity. And we know that as we make the sometimes difficult transition from a wartime to a peacetime economy, we can do our part by participating fully in such operations as this one here today.
Industrialists operate on a tight timetable. when he comes. South on a sightseeing trip. It is my considered opinion that the financial benefits Alabama will derive from this acquisition will far outweigh the cost of this needed industrial and economic development tool. At the January 20th quarterly meeting of the Alabama Industrial Development Board, it was unanimously agreed that rapid air transit capabilities was essential if Alabama's economic development growth is not to be penalized. There's only so much new industry to be had, and we in Alabama cannot fairly compete using horse and buggy facilities in the space age. This aircraft is a vital tool that we plan to utilize to the fullest. However, we plan to use it in a very frugal manner. I do not intend for this plane to be used for political junkets, but only for trips which will benefit the state of Alabama economically. It will be my policy to make the aircraft available to other executive branches of government when it can be justified that it is for the economic betterment of the state. He doesn't have time to visit 10 to 20 potential plan. With us here to participate jointly in the announcement are two officials of Federal Mogul National Headquarters in Southfield, Michigan. They are Mr. Kermit in Hamilton, and your contribution to our economy will be valuable.
I too am real disappointed, and I'm going to have to go home and tell my wife I didn't get a chance to shake your hand, but I hope to do it at a future time. We feel that we have selected the best place to put a new plant and a new operation.
There's no state in the Union that desires and wants industry any more than the people of Alabama. And I regret that I'm not able to be there with you, and you give your wife my best. And I won't put politics in it, but I'm coming up to Michigan one of these days myself anyway. And I do hope that I get to see you at least sometime. But we do want to thank you and those in your company for choosing Alabama.
We have the only public polyturf slope in the country, as far as I know right now, at least in the South. And we teach snow skiing year-round. We have 2 Austrian instructors, And we have classes, we have college classes that offer credit in Alabama for snow skiing. And they come all during the week. We're open from 9 in the morning till 10 o'clock at night. You can snow ski any time of the year. We have big diesel compressors. And you see the guns running now, which is unusual for the daytime. Usually it's just at night. But compressed air and water is shot out of the guns, and it makes a fine mist of water in the air, falls down, and what you see up there is man-made snow. What's falling around us right here is natural snow from the sky.
I mean, is it really catching on down here?
Oh, it's terrific. The excitement in Alabama over having a place that is close to Birmingham, Chattanooga, Nashville, Atlanta. The crowds are just really excited, and they're coming all the time. They call us. The phone rings off the hook continually. What are the snow conditions at Cloudmont? So it's really been great. It's only our second season, and we've had the same skiing days as they've had in the Tennessee resorts, and so we're going to stay with it. It's been real successful, and we're pleased.